I will say, you know what I was thinking the whole time? I was thinking to myself, man, I'd be fucked. I can't stay asleep to save my fucking life. I stay awake to save my life. I would be fucked, man. I'd have been the first one gone. Like just passing out no matter what.
Stella, he's been resisting us. It's okay. Put on a bad movie and wait for the laundry. Basket, laundry basket
make sure
in
his
sight.
Laundry machine is broken.
Oh, yeah, right.
Break his laundry machine.
Honey, where are all my clothes? They're gone.
Yeah.
Your wife's a pod person. I don't know where they're at, honey. You should lay down and give it a good think.
In a world of bad movies, two follically challenged men will stop at nothing to share their opinions of them. Their wives are tired of listening. But are you? This isn't the podcast you deserve, but it's the one you need. Prepare yourself for bald guys and bad movies.
Welcome to Bald Guys and Bad Movies, episode 66. I am Troy. Here with my buddy,
Mike Stella.
Mike. Stella! Hey, Mike Stella.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. You're looking patriotic over there.
Yeah, you know, I thought, just in case your wife walked by, I wanted to make sure I was wearing her favorite shirt.
Yeah, she loves that shirt. The thing with that shirt, it's an America shirt. America. With
I will say
the flag.
I will say that
it had sleeves and you flex and it just tore off like Lou Ferrigno.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Your American spirit just overwhelmed it.
I will say that this shirt is kind of fitting for the movie that we watched this week. So,
I would love to hear how you came to that conclusion. So,
yeah.
What are we reviewing this week, Mike?
This week we are reviewing the 1978 thriller horror film Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
They come from a dying world. They drift through the universe, pushed on by the solar winds. They adapt, and they survive. The function of all life is survival. Sleep, sleep, sleep. From deep space, sleep. The seed is planted. Sleep, sleep. Terror grows. Sleep.
Matthew! Matthew!
Like the others.
Elizabeth, wake up! Get you when you sleep. Sit up!
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's got no detail, no character. It's unformed.
All of a sudden, they're growing like parasites. Is it contagious? People are being duplicated.
How do you know my name? I didn't tell you my name.
Can't find anything in here that looks like a body. One side's nosebleed.
It looked right at me.
You're looking at it as if it was human. It was not human.
Now, the classic fear begins to grow.
We're being cornered.
In a modern masterpiece of science fiction.
They're barricading the street.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a 1978 American science fiction horror film, a remake of the original 1956 movie and
Of the same name,
which was based on a 1954 book called Body Snatchers. Directed by Philip Kaufman and stars Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, Veronica Cartwright, Jeff Goldblum, and Leonard Nimoy.
I swear to God, Robert Duvall had a cameo at the very beginning. I was like, that's fucking Robert Duvall.
He did. By the way, I'll get into it. This film is loaded with cameos.
Oh, really?
People you may not know, but you know their movies.
Yeah. The guy from Twilight Zone and
Kevin McCarthy. Yes. He was Dr. Miles Bennell in the 1956 version.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The line, they're here, they're already here.
They're here already. You're next.
Oh, really?
It was him reprising that role.
Oh my God. Lock the door. Lock the door.
Please. You're next. Here they are. They're already here. Come. You're next.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so great. I love it.
The plot involves a San Francisco health inspector and his colleague who over the course of a few days discover that humans are being replaced by alien duplicates. Each is a perfect biological clone of the person replicated, but devoid of empathy and humanity. Currently known as the GOP. No, I'm joking. Sort of. So, Mike,
funny you say that.
What do you think of Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78?
Highly recommend.
Nice.
Highly recommend.
I was hoping
really,
you would enjoy it.
Really enjoyed it. This is a good example of the idea that I don't need a film to be super fast paced for me to be into it. I need good acting. I need good writing. I need, good directing. And you can pace it pretty slowly, and I'll still be into that film. It just has to be a good film. You know what I mean? And I really liked it. I was about 20 minutes in, and I was like, this is really good. And it just kept delivering and kept delivering. One of the things I really liked was when the goo first lands on the leaves, and it way it was spreading, it looked so good. It looked so good.
All effects are in-camera effects.
It was phenomenal. I thought the effects were so great in this. The bodies, how they would breathe towards the end. I enjoyed it. Highly recommend. I'm surprised I hadn't seen it before, but to tell you the truth, unless a movie is really renowned, my family doesn't really watch many horror films. It's really the only horror films that we've ever watched are the ones my dad did. And since he didn't work on this, there was really no reason my parents would show it to me. There was no incentive to show it to me. Yeah, so that's why. But I'm sad I didn't see it sooner because I actually really liked this. I thought it was a great sci-fi horror film, nice thriller. It was really good.
Well, as a child of the 80s, this was on heavy rotation. Saturday night movie, on ABC. Yeah, I saw it as a kid, and yeah, it blew me away. And it's definitely not slow. It is
well paced,
meticulous ramping up of tension and dread.
Yeah. Well, it's not slow, but I'm just saying it's not snappy. You know what I mean? It takes its time.
I recommend as well. It was my idea to review this. I love this film. So if you haven't seen it, see it right away. Load it with top caliber performances from classic actors,
yeah, I was like, is that Robert Duvall? I was like, and then I never saw him again, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, you have a feeling he's probably friends with the director, Kaufman. But
maybe he was just on set one day, and they were just like that. A lot of times, that's how cameos happen. Is they're just hanging out on set one day, and they're like, "Do you want to hop in there real quick? We'll send you to wardrobe, get you put in something, you can be in the next shot." And they're like, "Sure, what the hell?" And then they do it.
So yeah, he's like a creepy priest, and he's in a playground swinging. So you gotta wonder, is he a pod person
already? Which would be weird because the pods were the goo was just landing that same morning, from what I understood.
Well,
I mean, you don't really get a feel for time. They don't really dictate whether or not it's that morning or the next morning or what, but you know what I mean? But he looked kind of potty.
The impression I got, which is what I liked about the film, the invasion's already started.
Right.
And you see it in the corners. You'll see people running.
Right.
This is early on. Are they running because there's something going on?
Right.
And then people staring and looking very weird. So without the character even realizing it, you got an analytical eye, you can kind of see it in the cracks. And then
totally.
And speaking of cracks, the film is loaded with really great subtle touches. It was shot like a noir, like it was a black and white film.
Yeah.
Even though it's in color, a lot of shadows, the framing.
It felt like that. There were
a
lot of shadows, a lot of half faces, you know what I mean? Just full black on one side. Really, really nice.
It's a lesson in how less is more and how you can very subtly convey unease. Early on, Donald Sutherland's windshield gets broken. Yeah. So throughout the rest of the film, the world is cracked, right? He's looking through a cracked windshield. And then there are shots where characters are standing by something that's reflecting their image, but the image is distorted. Mm-hmm. So it's there if you want it. If you're not the type of person to catch all that, it still works, but it's nice.
Yeah, it wasn't very subtle, though. I mean, especially the reflection stuff, when they're in the bookstore, I think it was, when they're doing the book signing or something like that. it's like full on crazy distorted reflection behind.
Yeah, well,
them.
that one was definitely
like super hits you over the head with it.
But then there's moments where Sutherland's peeping around a corner, and there's half of his face exposed, the other half is reflected on the surface. And let me just give props to Donald Sutherland's fucking eyebrows and eyes, dude. Between him and Goldblum, they should have a stare off.
Yeah.
Good. Such striking peepers these guys have. Like, they don't make them like that anymore, dude. Like, I'm trying to like Joaquin Phoenix is probably a good example of someone with very unique facial features that can fucking look intense even when they're not trying to be intense.
Yeah, totally.
Sutherland's like cooking dinner, and it's like the most intense dinner cooking session ever, even though he's like jovial. He's not like angry in the film.
Yeah, I wonder how old Donald Sutherland was in that. He was probably like 35, but looks like he's 70.
He's rocking that fro, dude. That fro. Yeah, he is. What's up with that?
That was pretty good. Pretty good.
He like one of the dudes in Tyrone, one of the the white guys with the fro for no reason. But it is the 70s, so
there was a reason. It was the 70s.
Yeah, there you go.
One part that I thought was funny as hell, like right after you see like the dog person, right?
That shit freaked me out as a kid, by the way.
The face looked really good, even though it was just like strapped to a dog's face.
And it was fully like, there was animatronics in the face, like with the tongue coming out. Yeah.
I thought that was just the dog tongue like licking itself like as it ran up.
According to my research.
Oh, well, it looked good.
I don't know if I noticed this before. The reason why, I don't know if you caught it.
He kicked the pod.
Yeah, and I guess it fucked up the process, so it merged the dog and the man.
Which I thought was kind of funny. I'm like, damn, that's some touchy genetics there, huh? So all you got to do to fuck it up is like, make sure you're sleeping with your beloved animal.
Put your 70s loafer into it, and then it
exactly.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off. Were you about to say?
No, it was like, so the dog face was funny, right? But then it cuts back to them, and like this old lady is like, oh, and he's just like, back, just bitch slaps that old lady. It runs off. I was fucking dying.
Oh, dude. Hey, one more thing about the dog. It's not subtle at all. Like, you see the guy with the dog at least two times, and he's playing like a banjo.
Yep.
And then you see the dog man, or the dog with the man face, you hear the banjo for no reason. But remember, it's the same character. Boom, 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 boom.
I did like when they like get in the cab and the cab's like calling in his fare, like all cabbies do when they get a fare. And he's like, we got 2 people type H. And I was like, oh, that's a funny little thing. I thought that was a nice little subtle.
That cab driver is the director of the original movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He is Don Siegel. He also directed Dirty Harry.
Oh, wow.
He's kind of a legendary filmmaker. How about that Jeff Goldblum, dude? That young Goldblum.
He's really good, and he's fucking nuts, dude. Like,
he was an interesting character in that. Like,
he really was.
Because it takes place in San Francisco, so I think he was one of these
leftover from the hippies.
Yeah, leftover from the hippies, anti-war, anti-establishment, and he fucking hates Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
with a passion.
That shit was funny.
They have a confrontation, and then he goes to a mud spa and like he's like shedding a tear. Yeah. He's so upset over.
Well, it was like the mud spa was actually his. It was him and his wife's. Mm-hmm. They owned that mud spa. You know what I thought was funny? I was like, I never thought Veronica Cartwright. I never thought of her as like an attractive woman, but when you see her before all the shit goes down, I was like, damn, Veronica Cartwright's pretty good looking.
Yeah.
I was like,
with the little ponytails, the little
exactly. She looked cute. And then like as the movie progresses, she becomes the Veronica Cartwright from everything.
The shrill screaming
and freaking out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because she was in the first Alien, right? She was in the first Alien.
She was in Alien.
She was in Witches of Eastwick.
Witches of Eastwick.
That's the most iconic role, I feel like, was just the fucking cherry pits. Holy shit.
Not more than Alien, though, would you say?
Well, maybe only because only because Witches of Eastwick isn't like of the same caliber. But me personally, when I think of her, that's the first thing I think of. And then like just now, I just remembered that she was in Alien.
Well, those are the two things that comes to mind: Witches of Eastwick, the Cherry Pits, and the Alien. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because there's a possible link between something that happened to her in filming Alien and this was before Alien. But there's a famous story in Alien where the chest burster comes out. None of the actors knew
that was going to happen. Right.
And she got like probably the worst of it because
it like sprayed on her face or something.
Right. And then, not the spoiler alert, but at the end reveal where you find out Donald Sutherland has been taken over. No one knew on set. Like, the only people that knew that was going to happen was D.W. Richter, the screenwriter, and the director, and Donald Sutherland. She didn't know.
Oh,
so
really?
He turns around.
Matthew?
I guess they wanted like a genuine reaction, but
that look was crazy. I'll tell you the truth. Like, you had done that the point and the mouth thingy, the scream, for Donald Sutherland, and I was happy that he did the scream. Like he did a weird like open mouth like thing when he's at like a few minutes earlier when he sees the lady that he's been running around with the whole time. Because I was like, oh, maybe he just did the point because he thought that that's what he did, and this was the scene with the scream, because I didn't realize that he had been taken. But if they hadn't done that earlier, that might have spoiled the fucking ending for me. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, well, but it didn't?
It didn't, because a few minutes earlier when he sees the chick stand up and she's a pod person, he goes, he does the same sort of like
so
weird
you thought
face
maybe
thing.
I meant that.
And I thought maybe you meant that. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it just the point, he just added it because, it
all
just,
right. Sorry.
he hasn't seen it for 20 years or whatever.
Spoiled it.
But I was happy that happened, because I might have known that he was a pod person if it got all the way to that end scene without him doing something similar to that. You know what I mean?
The ending's different from the original film and the book, because both of them kind of had happy, hopeful endings.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Like, I think the book is weird. The creatures just kind of gave up because people were fighting back too much. So they just left the planet. And then the 56 version, they finally got to like the FBI and let the greater world know this is happening, and
got it,
insinuating that, they're going to send in the cavalry or whatever. But they felt that was kind of a cop-out, a wet fart of an ending.
Yeah, fuck that. This is so much better. That was pretty fucking funny when he takes his clothes in to the to the dry cleaner, and he's like,
that's not my wife.
The stuff. He's like, that's not my wife. She's not right. And then he comes back later. He's like, oh, she's great.
Yeah.
She's perfect.
And the wife kind of comes forward, like gliding almost. Can I help you, precious shirt?
Oh man.
Shit.
What about at the end when they're like in the lab and they're gonna try and figure out some sort of chemical to get rid of them? And they're like, oh, take these pills. My so and so takes them all the time. He's like, what are they? He's like, it's speed. And he's like, oh, okay, give it to me. How many are you supposed to take? It says take 1. He's like, take 5.
Take 5.
I was like, fuck, dude. 5?
Which is fantastic, because right after that moment, Nimoy comes in, Goldblum's been turned, and they inject them with knockout something.
Yeah,
right?
they're some downer. I'm like, you're lucky you didn't pop these motherfuckers' hearts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So they got speed with that.
That's a good way to kill someone. Like give them a bunch of uppers and a bunch of downers at the same time. That's literally how you kill people. Like, it's crazy.
And then before I forget, let me maybe I don't know much about the health service, the health department, but it wasn't a weird scene, but it was kind of funny. But he like busts in there and
the rat turd scene.
Yeah, well, no, just the fact like his whole demeanor, like he was a hard ass, right? Like I guess I've seen enough. Maybe I've eaten at enough shit restaurants. Like I don't see any health inspector being that fucking serious.
Yeah, no shit.
It's not a criticism. It's just a funny. And then like the line cooks, they actually care.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would they give a fuck? Like they're all like whispering, conspiring, and then you realize that they fucking broke his windshield.
Like,
why do they give a fuck?
Yeah,
they don't own the restaurant.
Give me a break.
This shit is a rat turd or a human turd in them.
Well, who knows? Maybe they just want to keep their fucking job.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Like
it's just funny. It just he comes across like his agency is bigger than what it actually is.
Yeah, maybe he's just like a little man in like the rest of his life, and so he uses that to like make himself feel big and powerful.
Because he makes a big fucking presentation of that rat turd.
Yeah, he's like, it's a caper, it's a rat turd. He's like, okay, eat it. And he's like, no, he won't eat it. He's like, that's fucking right.
What is that?
A caper.
No,
You presume to tell us what is in the stock?
it's a rat turd.
A what?
A rat turd.
A caper.
A rat turd.
A caper.
If it's a caper, eat it.
What about when he kills Jeff Goldblum? Did you notice that he straight had those fucking the darts and just like ice picked that fool to the back of the fucking neck? I was like, God damn, dude. Like, just fucking brutalized.
And I had forgotten about it. He had taken it. It was great how they did it because
awesome.
he snatched it off the board.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget about it. And then he's choking him out. But you realize when he falls to the floor, he fucking stabbed him in his medulla oblongata or whatever.
Right in the nape of the neck, man. That shit was crazy.
This film was written by D.W. Richter. Do you know who this gentleman is?
Nope.
You should, because he wrote one of the greatest fucking 80s movies ever. Want to take a guess?
Okay.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Also, Buckaroo Banzai, which you hate. So, there. The
Maybe
good
I
with
should
the
give
bad.
maybe I should give it another chance. I don't know. I'll probably still hate it, but might as well give it a chance. Maybe we should review it.
You like your films to make sense, Mike, and
I do like my films to make sense.
Banzai doesn't care about inviting
Doesn't care
you
about
to
my
the,
feelings.
Doesn't care about inviting you to the party and things making sense. It just invites you to figure it out and like it if you really want to. But if not, go fuck yourself. Quote, Buckaroo Banzai.
Got it. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
I want to get your opinion of Brooke Adams.
Brooke Adams, was that the main chick?
She is the main chick.
I liked her a lot. I thought she was a pretty good actress. I thought she was pretty good. I enjoyed her. I thought she was pretty.
Closer to the end of the film, definitely, when things are really out of hand. But I've always had an issue with and I've seen her in, she's been in a lot of shit, but she was also in The Dead Zone, another one of my favorite movies. Her line readings always come off as kind of flat and weird to me.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I know this is going to sound insane. Jeffrey is not Jeffrey.
I thought she was fine. I thought she was pretty good. I mean, like you said though, I thought she really shined towards the end when shit started going down.
Yeah.
I will say, his scream might have been crazy at the end, but her scream when she's like naked in like the facility that's with all the pods blowing up.
By the way, second week in a row, we got a naked woman walking around.
Yeah, but she was only naked for like, what, a minute, if that? Like,
yeah.
It was not very long.
Her screen time of nudity equaled the screen time of space vampire having clothes on.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I think it's like a 1-for-1.
Flip-flop, 1-for-1, absolutely.
But anyway, you were saying, I completely agree.
Like, her scream was even crazier than his. Like her tongue's going all crazy. I was like, holy fuck, dude. Oh, and then she did the weird shit with her eyes earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what the fuck? This bitch is weird already.
And I really like that moment because it's such a throwaway weird. I wonder if they improvised that. Because
Well,
how else
they had
would
to
they
improvise it. They can't
We need an actress that can wiggle her eyeballs.
wiggle her eyes all weird. Yeah, no, that was improvised.
See, that was a nice, charming, like organic moment. I really
exactly.
liked.
That's what I thought. I thought that was. I felt the exact same way.
You mentioned last week about the artistry of giving you character backstory throughout the events of
That's
the
what
movie.
I'm saying. You don't need to like. You don't need to like front load it. Like the little moments reveal character. That's the best way to do it. Little moments reveal the character.
And I think this is a great example of that because you get a sense of a history between these two. She's not with Donald Sutherland.
I know.
She's with some dentist guy, right? You see that her and Sutherland have this unspoken thing, this connection.
Mm-hmm. It's his work wife.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really nice how that kind of plays out and develops. And
it's a real thing. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like a real relationship that, from like a real work relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You spend all day long with these people. You get, close. Sometimes you get a little too close. You know what I mean? Like, it does happen.
And they share a kiss later, which is probably their first kiss. It's like a really small, gentle peck.
Mm-hmm.
But it's earned because you feel like it's not exactly because of the situation. It's probably a lot of feelings that's been there for a long time. But the situation has exasperated it, and now
and the situation, yeah, exactly. It's kind of the catalyst to make it actually start.
Let's talk about Nimoy, man. We can't not talk about Leonard Nimoy. What'd you think?
So, one question: what the fuck was he wearing? Like one of those like archery things on his hand?
I was like, carpal tunnel? What does he have?
That? Yeah, is that just a fashion statement? Like, what the hell was going on?
He
with
had
that?
it on the whole movie, right? Pretty much.
I don't even know. He might have, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
but he was pretty good. But he was a pod person from the moment you meet him. I'm pretty sure.
I believe so. That's what I think. Yeah, he was weird, and he was cast because he really wanted to not be typecast as Spock, and then he played.
So they cast him as an alien.
Fucking alien.
That shit was pretty funny.
He was a great, and I've seen him in other things, not a lot, but he was. There was an episode of Columbo where he played this murderous doctor, which was really.
Oh, really?
Good. Yeah, it was a really great episode because
sounds awesome.
Columbo rarely gets angry, and Nimoy pissed him the fuck off.
Was Columbo the little one with the little guy with the cigar?
Yeah, just one more thing.
He's like just this little
Peter
guy,
Falk,
right?
Yeah, with the false eye.
Right.
Love Columbo, but anyway. So Nimoy did a good job. It's good to see Nimoy as the villain. Like, was there any part you didn't like?
No, I actually liked the whole movie, to tell you the truth. You know what I thought was funny as hell in the like mud spa that they cut to like Veronica Cartwright like giving the fat dude like the massage. I'm like, what the fuck? I was wondering to myself, is that the director? And he just wanted to get her to rub his thighs for him. You know what I mean? I was like, this is fucking weird.
You know what? This film is PG.
Well, because there was no PG-13.
I know, but it's so fucking weird to look back in time to see what passed for PG. But like this, like it wasn't like coarse language. But like when Sutherland discovers his clone, he takes like a garden hoe or a shovel, and bashes his fucking skull in, and then what's Brooke Adams? She's walking around, boobs out.
Well, I will say that PG back in the day was different, right?
No shit.
So, this is the whole thing, right? Yeah. There's restricted, which is like very restrictive. You couldn't see it if you were, young. And then there was G, general audiences, so anyone can see it. And PG was at that time it still does. It stands for parental guidance, right? And so at that time, it literally meant that, like, this is parental guidance. The parent needs to decide whether or not their child can see this. And I feel like PG back in the day didn't represent like, oh, you can see it and it's not going to be a Disney movie. It meant this is something that has questionable material in it and could be scary and could be, have adult ideas in it. So parental guidance truly is suggested in this, and you need to make a decision for yourself whether or not your child should see this.
Yeah, this should have been R. I get all that.
I don't think so. I don't think it should have been R.
If you don't have a PG-13 and there's no middle ground, like it feels
that's the thing.
like a comfortable
PG is
R.
the middle ground. PG is the middle ground.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm looking at it from a lens of today's
standard. Absolutely. And us having PG, PG-13, and R, you look at it in a different way than someone at the time who literally all they had was PG.
But I'm just thinking the ratings board. Look, I'm no prude. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, not like, oh, save the children.
Look, I get what you're saying.
But he literally cracks this creature's head open, and it looks like Donald Sutherland. It looks pretty much almost human.
And that's why it's not G. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's not G. Like,
yeah, I just question what the fuck they were. You know what? This is okay. A kid may be okay with, garden hose shoved through the fucking face of this clone human.
I don't know, man.
Oh, her boobs are out? Oh, okay. Well, it'll be all right. And it was actually it was a scary movie, but like, it traumatized me a little bit. And that was just the dog.
Dude, I will say when you first see the pods, because what I thought was funny is you don't actually see the pods until later in the movie after you've already seen like the pod people. And I thought that was really weird because like, how did these people get there if there's no pod? You know what I mean? It just seemed really odd to me.
Well, did you notice the cleanup, the husks? Because there's garbage trucks.
Oh yeah. I noticed that.
And in the back of like shots there, you see them.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not even like the focal point. So I kind of like the fact that they held back until that moment with Donald. So they take over your body when you sleep. Right. So Donald Sutherland finally falls asleep, like outside or whatever. But what I don't get though, those pods are fucking big.
Exactly.
So when he walked out there, he didn't fucking see the pods, or did they
That's
just
what
like
I'm saying.
Roll like they're like critters, or they roll into frame?
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. That's another thing that I'm saying. They're pretty big. Like, how do you not see them?
Yeah.
How does like a fully formed guy come out of it? But I will say it happens pretty quick. Mm-hmm. With the Donald Sutherland scene, you sleeping outside scene, you notice how quickly the pod actually spits out the person.
Yeah, it happens really fast. And it was duplicating all of them, I think, right? It didn't
except for Veronica Cartwright, because she wasn't asleep. It was duplicating everyone but her, and because she was not asleep. But the others were.
Maybe I'm overthinking it. Doesn't it have to touch you, like the little tendrils? Because the others were in the house. This was out in like the garden area. Well, and they were all being replicated, like Goldblum and.
No, I know what you're saying. It seemed to me that once the tendrils have already kind of like grabbed you,
sampled you, it
remembers, and it's like connected to you.
Yeah,
because
that's what I thought.
The way the Jeff Goldblum one started, it's nose bleeding, and it wasn't connected to him, but he had already sniffed the flower. Everyone who like sniffed the little flower, they were already connected, and like if they fell asleep anywhere, a pod would start spitting them out.
Yeah. Oh, and that was a good scene too, when you first see mid-transformation. Like, it was your first like real visceral reveal of a body
in the
mud bath.
The mud bath, yeah.
And then Goldblum,
it looked really good.
Yeah, and he goes to lay down, and when he falls asleep, the thing's eyes
opens its eyes, yeah.
And she's Veronica Cartwright.
And he wakes up, and then it closes its eyes. And he walks over. She turns around and bashes him in the face. Actually, he's like, "Oh, my nose is bleeding." And then he looks down, and its nose is bleeding.
Really great practical effects.
Great practical effects, dude. The thing is like pumping on its face, like when it first gets spit out, and then not only the pod people, but her later on when she's like decomposing to create the pod person.
That's another fucking moment.
Dude, it looks so good. And that was a problem I was saying with Life Force, is that it cuts to it and it's still him just looking normal with like bad makeup on, and then it starts doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like with her, it was already starting to get emaciated, and like you could see it, and like they must have been like some sort of stuff like on her face with like strings behind, and they would like pull it and it would kind of like dig into her skin a little bit to make it look more emaciated. And then it cuts to another shot. When it cuts back to her, it's a puppet and it's already like completely disintegrated.
That's another extreme for a PG moment, but it was really well done. And I like how subtle it is, because
it is subtle and it's really well done.
It almost looks like sunburn, right? You get a little streak of it on your cheek, and if it's interrupted, then you're a little like tired, but it hasn't like fully. But then with her, you finally see, and that's what I like. They hold back.
Yeah,
you don't see what happens fully.
They hold back, but you still get it.
Yeah.
Eventually. That's really nice.
That's what I mean. Like you get little tastes of it, and then at the end you finally see it from start to finish what happens, and she just kind of collapses.
It was such a better movie than fucking Life Force. Like,
don't shit on Life Force. We're done with that.
Damn, dude, you got a little sensitive there, buddy.
I'm saying, completely different movie.
Yeah, no shit. One's good and one sucks.
No, Life Force does not suck. But this is definitely I'll admit this is a better movie. This is a movie. More well-rounded, top-tier performances.
This is a movie, whereas Life Force is 90 minutes of footage.
So it's actually, well, you wanted it to be 90 minutes. It's actually 2 hours.
It's like 2 hours.
No, you wished it was that.
Yeah, so, I do.
Most of the world agrees with me, but anyway. But see, look, hey, Life Force is, a greasy cheeseburger that may give you the shits. This is a really...
And it was made 8 years later, and the effects look so much... These effects look so much better, and they're 8 years older.
Well, they're less ambitious, though. They're not trying to swing for the fences. And the tone of this movie is very grounded. What would really happen?
Yeah, it felt like it could exist in the same world as like The French Connection.
Yeah.
Which I loved, that it felt so real and so like of the time.
That's a trait of 70s movies, man. Like those movies just have even The Exorcist. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like a 70s movie just because of the type of shots. Because there's this thing where...
Isn't it a 70s movie?
Yeah. Like, but
it feels like it.
There's movies that came out in that period have a feel. And like in this movie, they'll do things that you don't really see anymore, even though there's like a resurgence, like the snapback zooms, the zoom outs. Like there's one moment where Sutherland is like with the axe, he's up in like the hangar where they're like gestating like the pods, and he takes the axe and like he's hitting like the cords that holds the light, and they do a zoom out to show the whole picture from the floor level. And that's just such a 70s thing, right? They don't really do that anymore, like with the zooms. But I love how hey, I'll just cut these lights and that'll destroy everything.
That'll destroy everything. Yeah.
like, okay.
Yep. Well, I will say, though, the lights back in the day, because they were incandescent bulbs, the moment like one of those shatters, the filament in there is so hot compared to all the bulbs we have nowadays that it's feasible that it could, considering it was all like just this really thin, like gauzy sort of like material. Over
I didn't find it like ridiculous. Like no way that could have happened.
At first thought it was kind of ridiculous, and then I thought about it, and I was like, maybe it's it's not 100% likely, but it's feasible.
Well, I guess the unfeasible thing would be, would he have thought about that? Would he have thought this is going to work for sure? Because what
I thought was weird was like, what was there an alarm on the axe?
Yeah, it went off with the axe.
The moment he grabs the axe, the alarm goes off. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he didn't even break glass or anything.
Yeah,
he
nothing.
Just grabbed the axe.
Fucking weird, dude. I thought that was weird.
Pod Person Johnson was like, I told you, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
put an alarm on the axe.
Exactly.
Thank you. You're welcome. And then the last shot. This is the iconic fucking shot with Sutherland. Cartwright, she
finds him, like she evades them like for like a couple nights somehow,
because they lose her and Goldblum, and Goldblum is turned. She doesn't know, which is kind of a sad moment. But Sutherland doesn't want to tell her that he already knows he's fucking dead. But she's like, yeah, if you just pretend, show no emotion. And then they get separated. Oh, they get separated. You notice? So Brooke Adams' character sees the dog, Banjo Dog, as I'll call him, and she fucking loses her shit. And then they're like, ah! And Cartwright just kind of like, okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Did you know?
Yeah, she was like, fuck this. I'm out.
Peace out. Fuck this, I'm tail lights.
Dude, but when
in
Donald
character, she just walks away.
Exactly. But dude, when Donald Sutherland just like bitch slaps that old lady and you get the nice sound effect. That was fucking funny. And just books it. Like, that shit was funny.
I don't want to skate over the end because I think it was masterfully done. Because after Sutherland destroys the hangar, he runs, they're chasing him. He goes like under a dock or some shit. They're looking for him. And then one of them's like peering down. And you're like, can he fucking see him? Like, it looks like he's looking right at him. He shines a light right at the camera. And then you flash, and it's the next day, I assume. Sutherland's there with his trench coat. He's going through his day. Is he pretending? Is it really him? They're going through the motion. Did you notice the kids, the school, the kids are being led to get assimilated?
I don't want to take a nap right now.
And he does a really good job because he's not completely emotionless.
Right.
Like, he looks at Brooke Adams and he kind of pauses, then moves on.
I felt like he never really showed emotion, but the way they shot it suggested that he was showing emotion.
Right.
So that was pretty good. But also, like, when you look at him, like, he doesn't look tired.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I felt like the rest of the movie, he looked fucking beat.
Yeah.
You know, once he had to, like, stop sleeping.
So the last scene is he's walking in the park or whatever, and Cartwright approaches. And he's like, hey, how have you been? He turns.
Yeah,
points.
the sound.
She starts to scream.
And then it cuts to credits.
Immediately cuts to credits. Again, that's another thing with older movies. All right, movie's over. Get the fuck out of here. Bye.
But I did like the fact that we did not survive. I like the fact that we were decimated. Humans no longer exist, and we're all dead.
Yeah. Or getting there. Like, there's no stopping it. It's kind of like The Thing, but probably more on the nose than The Thing, because The Thing implies that we're going to lose, but this definitely feels like we lost.
Well, yeah, but The Thing also, it's only 2 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like the entire society has been decimated.
So
at that point.
They've said, if you want to look deeper into the meaning of this film, we lose ourselves to assimilate society or corporate. Goldblum represents, the hippies, the people that were fighting the system, and then they grow up and they just join the thing they hated most. Or if you want to look all deep and shit, it's there if you want to look into it.
Well, I mean, the book was initially written, in the 50s.
50s
right?
of communism scare, and yeah.
I mean, you can look at it 2 ways, right? You can never tell who the communist is. They just slowly take over your friends. And all you have to do is listen to the communist rhetoric, and all of a sudden you become a communist. Or, and I don't know enough about the writer to tell you one way or the other. The other idea is, if you listen to the anti-communist rhetoric, you start suspecting everyone as being a communist, and you start to lose your humanity once you start suspecting everyone of being a communist. Which is why I said my, America shirt was a good pick for this movie.
Well, and I joked in the beginning with the GOP crack, but I think it's a film that continues to resonate because
you never know who the Trump supporter.
Yeah, forgive me, whoever's listening. That's a MAGA head, or a maggot, as Mike has coined. Did you coin that? I think it's been around.
I think I did. They're called maggots.
Okay, it feels like that. You're like, how can you? You're just a collective hive mind.
Yeah, you have no thoughts of your own.
You don't want to hear reason. You're just down for the cause.
Full of hate. Yeah.
Full of hate, and it's our way or the highway. You're the enemy if you think differently than me. So
exactly,
I think it's a film that's going to live on, unfortunately, in infinity, because there'll always be some kind of new social construct that
Well, and that's something that it speaks to as well. You lose your humanity, which in turn creates a utopian society where there's no crime, there's no hatred, but there's also no love and no community and no people,
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the fact that humans are kind of doomed because in order to have a truly peaceful society, it's basically impossible because people will always be people. And we are always going to brutalize and demonize and victimize some other group.
It's interesting you mentioned that because the original book was probably ahead of its time, maybe of its time, but the message still resonates. I think that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is an explanation of the book and some things that happen in the book. The duplicates live only 5 years, cannot sexually reproduce. Consequently, if unstopped, they would quickly turn Earth into a dead planet and move on to the next world. One of the duplicate invaders claims this is what humans do: use up resources, wipe out indigenous populations, and destroy ecosystems in the name of survival.
Sure.
This was written in 1954, and I'm sure communism was like, one of the red herring, that
right.
This is. But it's still fucking true. Like, it is a telltale sign of human nature. And if they ever did like a new version of this, like M. Night Shyamalan did a shitty, horrible movie. The Earth Was Fighting Back. The Wind. The
Event or something.
The Event. The concept, though, is sound. Like, you wouldn't even have to have an alien. What if the Earth evolved to get rid of us? Because we're doing nothing but harming it. It's a living symbiotic organism. We deserve to go. So if they would do a fresh retelling of this, that would be the angle. We pretend like we own the Earth, like we're some powerful thing. But ask me that question when a fucking earthquake happens. Or a tsunami. Like, how powerful do you feel then? How in control do you feel at that point? Probably one of the best remakes ever made, I'd say.
Well, next to The Thing.
Oh, yeah, The Thing. It's up there, same level.
And The Fly.
Oh, and The Fly. It happens.
I think there's a lot of good remakes that happened in the 80s and 70s.
There was a skit on SNL I just saw with Deion Sanders. It's like,
name one team that's undefeated.
Okay, well, there's Georgia.
Right.
Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State.
That's another one.
Florida State.
Forgot about them.
Oklahoma.
Sure.
Penn State.
Indeed.
Washington.
Good team.
North Carolina.
Tar Heels.
Air Force.
And see, that's exactly my point.
What is your point?
All right, let's rate it. Let's rate this puppy. Unless you got something else to say.
No, I got it. I am going to give it 4 out of 5 granny bitch slaps.
Fatality.
You like that granny part.
Dude, him bitch slapping the old lady just cracked me the fuck up. Like, I laughed out loud.
I'll give it, because I gave Life Force 4. So this is definitely better than Life Force. So
crazy, man.
I'll give this 4.5 bearded banjo humanoid dogs out of 5.
Nice.
It is a classic.
One thing I would like to say, though, is when you first see the pod person like coming out of the thing and it's like birthing it, like you see the head like crowning out of the fucking pod, and then it cuts away, it cuts back to it, and it's like it's coming out. It's just like this weird sort of like fetus adult monster thingy.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that shit was nasty. I was like, this would have creeped me the fuck out if I was a kid and I saw this. That's for damn sure.
Hey, and it did. Me.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
So if you would like to support this show, keep us going, keep us rolling along, uploading content, you can support us by going to patreon.com/baldguysbadmovies and donate to the show. We're going to use those funds to make sure we can see any movies that you guys want to see and getting our studio set up so we can start recording video and doing these not just audio but also video on YouTube. And once a month, we will pick a patron to choose a movie for us to review. And we'll review it. We'll dedicate it to you. But either way, we just hope you enjoy the show and keep on coming back.